Welcome everybody to the Riot International Invitational number 3 semi-finals. We are in to game 2 of our best of 3 semi-finals here between Cloud9 Eclipse and CPLAY. I am James Stress O'Leary. Alongside me is Vince Metters Hill, and I'm sorry I'm corpsing. I got a count
fault.
in from our producer that was, oh dear, it was so it's tickled me pink in this one. I just laughed so much. I'm sorry.
It tickled your funny bone. Yeah, indeed. I'm sorry, that I feel like that could have also been down to me a tiny bit. But Morgana and Rise have both been banned out here. And as you say, we are live here between Cloud9 Eclipse and CPLAY. Game number 2. Game 1, interestingly enough, went to CPLAY. And I honestly felt that Cloud9 were probably going to take that game. And I was proven completely wrong.
You did say that in Champion Select. I was thinking it was a bit of a bold statement, and it wasn't actually your fault that I laughed, but I could see the message flashing away, and it was just making it worse. I nearly got through it. I nearly got through my intro line.
I heard like a little giggle, and I knew you were gone. I knew it. I was like smiling, waiting, and he didn't disappoint.
Oh dear.
Wukong and Lulu also banned, so that's 3 champions out of the first game that are not going to be seen in the return game here. So I guess that's a declaration from both teams. They're just not happy with how game number 1 went.
Yeah, I feel like Cloud9 will be really wondering what went wrong in that game, because, I mean, Sivir got really fed, Lulu got really fed, Jax got back into the game, and I think we can tell you what happened in that game. Ku took all of the kills and then just decided to throw them back at CPLAY and just be like, here you go, here, take me.
Take me now. Yeah, he was jumping in all 5 players, and to be fair, I think at that stage they were going to surrender anyway, so I don't really want to say that he made like a cataclysmic throw, because it was probably already over anyway. But there were a couple of decisions beforehand where he went in super aggressive that just backfired. Like, for example, tower diving Sivir when Lulu was stood right next to her, just going to wild growth, and now you're completely by yourself. LeBlanc is going to be the first lock-in though, and that's really ballsy from Cloud9.
It is, but I think this is the kind of play that they have to make. They really need to win this game convincingly to get a little bit of their confidence back, to put CPLAY down, and just kind of get to a game 3 where they feel confident. But CPLAY have already shown that you underestimate them, they will win that game.
I've also been informed by Spud, who is watching right now, also another caster here at Chaos TV, that WikiChi is actually a substitute for CPLAY. So that's also very interesting, considering they won game 1, and typically when you have a sub in, your synergy's not there.
Especially from the jungle. That's one of the most difficult positions to actually replace somebody in, so that is a bit surprising.
It certainly is, but I guess that just goes to show how quick on their feet CPLAY actually are, that they can just let a player come in and it just seems to gel. But that's going to be Kuon Lee Sin again, and also Renekton is going to be locked in for Cloud9, so more than likely Adam is going to be playing the Renekton at top.
Let's see what CPLAY look to pick up. Support likely is on the cards, maybe mid lane, maybe top lane, who knows right now. Kind of wouldn't be surprised to see Thresh and then something like a Nidalee picked up here. I'm probably going to be completely wrong on this one, but that's what I feel like is one option. Annie as well from that support role.
Yep, Annie Sivir is a strong lane, a very strong lane indeed. Pantheon is very, very good with Sivir, because as soon as you see that ultimate coming down, On the Hunt can be popped, and you very quickly get in close proximity to your duo lane at bot. Of course, I'm talking about the ganking phase at bot lane. Orianna is going to get locked in with Pantheon. That is a lot of ball delivery system, especially if they do go for the Shyvana. And Shyvana typically does pretty well against Renekton as well.
Yeah, I'm completely wrong on my predictions, so
it's all right, mate.
Don't mind me. Orianna is really good in the middle lane. Interestingly enough, a lot of mid laners will consider Orianna against anybody a skill matchup, just from the fact that she's so consistent, and it's all down to your decision making in lane. So it's a very standard mid lane pickup here.
It is, and plus the fact as well, like LeBlanc is, what's her strength? Nuking people and getting kills, getting snowballing. Orianna's not a very easy champion to just nuke down because you can just protect yourself with the command protect, and you're then going to have to chunk through a shield and then all the HP afterwards. Typically, Orianna's going to go for stuff like Athene's and Holy Grail, which itself has magic resistance, so all around I like that pick, especially when you consider the champions they have in their composition as well. Really like the Leona, and interestingly enough as well, Stress, first time we've seen Leona today.
It is, but Thresh being available is actually kind of surprising. Yep. Since Thresh typically does pretty well against Leona in lane.
Yep, absolutely. So you get that interesting flame mechanic when the Zenith Blade gets thrown in, Thresh just says nope, knocks you back, and suddenly you're in a pretty bad situation. But the Lucian is a very good pick in, especially against Pantheon, because Relentless Pursuit is going to get you out of the Grand Skyfall when it comes down. And plus the fact as well, in team fights, if Leona can manage to land the Solar Flare, you're going to get the proc from Leona's passive when you fire on in with a Piercing Light or the Culling, whatever you so choose. So I would expect to see Thresh locked in, honestly. I can't see why they wouldn't go for this, especially their composition. It gives a lot of peel as well to Syria. There we go, it has been locked in.
Yeah, they look like they just wanted to think about things for a little while there. But that means our compositions are locked in, and Cloud9 this time we'll see... yeah, they're going to swap around. I thought we were about to end the timer and that they were sticking with that, but I blinked and missed 40 seconds by the feel of it.
Yeah, so looking at these two comps... of course, Cloud9 goes without saying have to win this game, otherwise they're going to go 2-0 in this, and they will not be progressing through to the grand finale. And honestly, from the two compositions, it's looking pretty good for CPLAY. There's a lot of interesting things that they can do from this position. But again, it's going to come down to what you said in game number 1 when we loaded in. It's all about that key word, execution. Is Q going to get Lee syndromed again? Not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in game 1. I'm still trying to get over game 1 where Ku kind of just ended up with 8 kills and ended up in the back line but dying every time. So hopefully he'll stop doing that, because typically that doesn't end the game too well for your team. So they ended up having to surrender that one after losing a fight. I believe it was a 4-0 right at the Baron pit. So that really called the end of that previous game, but Cloud9 need to bounce back in this one. They need to secure this win, otherwise CPLAY advance to the finals.
Yeah, it's always incredible to me, even after being playing from the beta stages of League of Legends, how snowbally this game actually is. That one big fight around Baron, where you go something like 4-0, as you mentioned previously, can literally turn a game on its head. And that's pretty much what happened in game number 1. Cloud9 looked very good in the early stages. The problem is, as you mentioned before, Ku picked up a lot of the kills. He wasn't giving them out to his team. Whereas on the flip side, Wukong was giving his team kills. So again, after the laning phase, the lanes were starting to snowball forward, whereas on the opposition side, it was all on Ku's back, and he was unable to carry his team. Because typically Lee Sin isn't really able to do that in the later stages of the game.
No, he is not. So we'll see whether Cloud9 can get a better lead this time. And as always, with a game of League of Legends, we're instantly into the pause screen, right as I was about to say we're live. But CPLAY apparently having some lag issues on their end, so hopefully it won't be too long before that's fixed. But we're going to get into game as soon as possible. They give out the ready. Hopefully that's going to be the unpause, and that means we can get into game number 2 here of this best-of-3 semi-finals between Cloud9 Eclipse and CPLAY.
Yep, indeedy. So, CPLAY, level 1 potential is quite nice from them, honestly. If Thresh can land Death Sentence, a lot of Threshers will pick up Flay first, but typically at this level you'll wait until you're in the actual lane, so that you can pick the ability that suits you best in the situation you're in. With the changes to the trinkets, if Death Sentence is to land, when they bump head-to-head, they're able to jump on top of that. They've actually got quite a bit of extra CC with Pantheon, who is able to pick up his Aegis of Ziona if possible, but he's actually gone for Spear Shot first. So it's all going to come down to who gets seen first here.
Oh man, what's gonna happen? Is Thresh gonna take Death Sentence first here, as you were alluding to, and look to hook into the book, or into the bush? Wow, my brain! Oh my god, my brain is not working right now. Please, brain, start working.
He may go Flay first and try some snazzy. I can't believe I just used the word snazzy in 2014. Snazzy. That's
Go
so
for some
80s.
jazzy plays.
The 80s called, they want their word back. But he may go for flay, flash in, and like mass flay, but no, all of that theory crafting for nothing.
Yep. It looks like CPLAY are just going to force them out of the bush. I don't know. Did they even see that? Did they? Is that just kind of like lucky that they have ended? Well, now they know.
Yeah.
Now they've seen each other, so both are just going to disengage that. And man, I can't believe you just used the word snazzy.
I actually do feel quite disgusted with myself at this point because I've literally never used that word before, like ever.
Oh, really? Come on. You were around long enough in the 80s to...
This guy. This guy.
Oh, dude, my brain isn't working properly, so all I've got is flimsy age-related insults to fall back to.
That's when you know you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. But everything being said, you're not going to have any lane switch-ups about, and nothing really happened. Both junglers just going to be starting on their bottom buffs, and this means they're going to both transition towards the top lane, and we could potentially see some action in mid as well, because Ku looks pretty hungry for some early blood.
I think he's actually looking for a blue invade here, but nobody gave him the memo that they started on the bottom half of the map, so this is a waste of time here by Ku. Again, very uncharacteristic. He's warding that up. That'll only give him vision of when Pantheon crosses down in a couple of minutes, but he's kind of forced into this middle engagement where Forbidden's getting dropped very low. Forbidden will go back to the initial distortion. This might actually work out for Ku. Flash forward, and he had to get that done. That was such an important kill after skipping out on that second buff.
I'm going to sound like that whiny caster, aren't I? But God, bro, what were you doing? He chased for so long while Lee Sin was obviously missing, and took a tower shot, and then flashed away from the tower. And I'm thinking, okay, you burnt LeBlanc's flash, you don't need to go any further, you've done your job there.
I mean, there's always that desperate attempt to keep a LeBlanc back, but again, down in the bottom lane, heavy trading. That's what we're going to grow to expect from this bottom lane pairings. And yeah, I think anytime that you see that you might be able to sneak an advantage against a LeBlanc, most people will take it, but as you said, going into tower range this early, unless you can absolutely get that kill, not always amazing of an idea to make.
Yeah, because if he just backs away after the flash, he still comes out ahead. He has the flash available himself, LeBlanc is very low and has to go back, and then he can just farm mid while LeBlanc recalls, and have flash when LeBlanc gets back. So all around, you're just coming out ahead. By doing so, you're giving away first blood, and now Ku is potentially able to tower dive top lane, although maybe not.
Well, I mean, he attempted it in game one with less.
Yeah.
So he looked for it, but is content stealing away the jungle from Pantheon. It's pretty difficult as a Pantheon to really start to get rolling once you're behind, but they are... Ooh, didn't quite get a gank off in the bottom lane. That would have done it. That would have been good for Pantheon, just to have picked up kills, but not able to get there.
All things considered, that's both flashes down from bot lane, so Hyun and Voidal both very susceptible to that death sentence.
Indeed, and Ku is taking more of the jungle away for Bivin. This time, maybe looking to bait Godbro in. Distortion goes towards his tower. For Bivin now very low. Are they able to get that decoy working? No, for Bivin drops in that engage as Godbro is going to survive here, and that's a double kill going to Pantheon.
And Pantheon is one of those junglers who really benefits from early kills, because very similar to a Wukong, for example, wants to get all of that AD and then fly in with the Grand Skyfall. So the woes continue here for Cloud9 Eclipse, and now Pantheon's actually making a move to the top lane, still very high on hit points, in fact full on hit points, double buff level 5.
Looks like that red buff just about expired, and he's going to just head straight in as the minion wave does hit the turret. They haven't got much of a minion wave, and now Pantheon is going to get dropped very low. Did he flash there? Yes, both. No, it was just Pantheon flashed. Odana didn't flash in that engagement.
Yeah, he sliced and diced through the minions, and Pantheon anticipated it and just flashed on top of him. Like, really slick play there from Wiki Chi, who was the substitute again. Q at top, though. Whoops.
Yeah, didn't get it. Couldn't quite get it.
I don't know, man. Q... From a guy that we normally expect to be doing godlike things with Lee Sin, is not been the greatest 2 games for him.
It's very uncharacteristic for him as well. Yeah. I don't know what's up with him. It's typically we say, cool, just pick Lee Sin and smash you. pretty much. Just always just gets kills, gets assists, sets up objectives all the time, and hasn't really been doing the objectives part. He's got the kills bit down, but the objectives bit's the bit that you win the game on.
And that's typically where Ku really does excel. Grand Sky full of bot.
Yeah, Voidal gets stunned in place. That's going to be a dead Voidal here. Uses the Zenith Blade to get a little bit more distance, but won't be enough to get away from that one. And CPLAY pick up where they left off and have themselves a 1,200 gold lead.
Yeah, did manage to buy enough time for his AD carry to survive, though, so that's a small saving grace. But the fact that the bot lane is dead and Orianna's being chased down is going to be Dragon started.
It is indeed, and Forbidden is getting dropped low, forced into that passive as he backs off. It's just a matter of time before Wikichi would have been able to get in there, but it looks like Forbidden was able to get to safety. That dragon didn't end up getting taken, though, and CPLAY are going to rotate back for it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. They're probably not wanting to go for it because they realise that Leona is coming back to lane. Even though she's level 4, could still throw a spanner in the works. So it's that kind of mentality of better safe than sorry. We probably could get Dragon, but is it really worth throwing away this advantage over one objective? The answer is no. So I do actually like that play from CPLAY.
Yeah, I like that play as well. And Odo Amne down up in the top lane, getting taken pretty low from that burnout damage from Cabochard. Both did have their ultimates available. It wasn't that kind of extended fight, so no need to use either. But it's back to the top lane that we've seen for the last couple of months, where they're just going to fight up there for a very long time, and neither of them are really going to die without jungle pressure.
Yeah. And that's pretty much been the key of this game, and indeed game number 1 as well, is jungle presence. Is Wikichi and also Ku have been all over the map, and both been definitely getting themselves involved in this game. Wikichi 3-0 has a Spirit of the Elder Lizard and 800 gold in his back pocket, so he's accelerating very quickly. Interestingly enough, Shyvana's gone for triple Doran's Blade, so really wanting that early aggression against Renekton.
But that's actually just going to delay the point at which Shyvana is just like, okay, I don't really care that you're a Renekton anymore. As typically, just Shyvana scales pretty well, but it will allow them to do plays like this a little bit earlier. Force out the Dominus and now go aggressive under the turret, but Wikichi getting taken down pretty low, not low enough for anything to come from it. Ku is looking for the kill here, and it's just a case of Wikichi defending, but the flash comes forward into that kill. May even be able to pick himself up a double here, but he's got to be careful because Shyvana has a surprising amount of damage with those 3 Doran's Blades.
Yeah, surprising amounts of damage, surprising amounts of hit points as well, and also in the dragon's form is very, very tanky with resistances. Here comes Godbro though.
Godbro into that lane, will pick himself one up, but Cabochard ended up falling to begin with.
Well, I do not think that Shyvana, that Cabochard was expecting that much damage coming in from Lee Sin, and ended up dying pretty needlessly, I've got to say. Godbro had that one in the bag, did not need to get involved again.
Ooh, death sentence in the bottom lane, followed up with a flay onto both members, and they pretty much just take all of Hyanen's health there. The culling used to try and get some damage down onto Thresh, but really that trade is so good in favor of CPLAY.
Yeah, they're making the plays where they need to. You know, if a support's taking damage for an AD carry, it's always worth it on the support's team, and Hyanen is in that position himself right now, so that's allowing Sivir a bit more freedom, even though Sivir is currently behind on CS, is a kill to the good. So it's all good down there for CPLAY once again.
As you said, even on builds, I nearly just said bills there. Call my brain, please. Start working. Have they actually lane swapped here? Godbro has stayed in the top lane, and this is why you normally don't see Orianna in the top lane, because she just dies to Renekton. But Cabochard is just going to sit in this middle lane. I'm baffled by this play.
Yeah, so am I, because it's almost like you're taking a lane that was doing fine, and now you're flipping it on its head to do bad. I don't really have much to say about that, but Dragon has been picked up anyway from CPLAY, and I would like to see Orianna go back mid. I don't understand why she'd go top lane.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to return to how it was previously. That was, not the best play. I'm just going to be honest, because they've now lost a lot of damage. They even forced out the Pantheon ult. May pick up a kill from this, will do. saves the turret and they pick up a kill, so that's kind of a way of making that back. There's a kill down in the bottom lane as well as Ku goes aggressive in the top lane. Wikichi flashes to avoid the Q. Here comes Forbidden as well. Wikichi is going to no, he's not. One tick of Ignite. I thought maybe he was just in time, but kills all across the board, 2 for 2 overall.
Orianna is thinking about a gank at bot lane, but deciding against it and goes back towards mid lane. Probably because, you know, Cosmic has no mana and Thresh is at spawn, so that would have been a 2 versus 2 situation. AD carry not really able to do a great deal in that fight.
Yeah, not too much in that fight at all, and wasn't quite in time either, but everybody's just kind of rotated apart from bottom lane right now. Everybody's ended up everywhere. LeBlanc up in that top lane. Orianna was up there. Shyvana was in mid. Crazy rotations out from these teams, but Shyvana finally getting back on track with her standard build. Has picked up that Bilgewater Cutlass. So Ku looking to go aggressive in the middle lane. I don't think that's a fight he really wants though right now.
No, not particularly, especially when you've got a Pantheon who is currently missing on Vision. It can just suddenly pop up there and make some plays happen. Top lane, Shyvana is getting to that stage now where Renekton can't really deal with Cabochard and is constantly going to get pushed back. And even though he's taking quite a bit of damage now, once that Dragon's Descent comes up, Adamne has to be careful or he is going to end up dying.
And Dominus isn't quite available yet either. Still looking at about 15 to 20 seconds left on that cooldown, so he has backed off though, just to make sure he doesn't end up getting taken down. But bottom lane is the focus from both teams. Ku standing on a ward though, so you know, CPLAY are going to be aware of exactly where he is, but Cloud9 have managed to pull this one back to only about a 400 gold difference in this exchange.
And that's the engage at top.
The top lane, Odo Amne forced the Dominus out. There's the Ignite ticking. Is not going to be enough.
Yeah, very smart play here from Cabochard. I love how realistic he is. It would be easy to let the red mist descend and go for that tower dive and secure the kill, but he knew that LeBlanc was missing from mid and was potentially coming to top, and that's exactly what was actually happening. So, mad props there to Cabochard on Shyvana.
That and they're into the point of the game where he can just kind of continue going as he is and end up scaling into the game better than Renekton. Giving Renekton kill just puts him further behind and gives Renekton extra money to itemize the way he needs to stay a little bit more relevant.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing as well that we haven't really touched upon is the actual composition when we get into those 5v5 fights. If Cabochard and Pantheon, obviously Pantheon is going to start to need to build a bit tankier at some point, otherwise he is going to become that glass cannon Pantheon. But once Shyvana goes in alongside Orianna's Shockwave, then big things are going to happen, especially when you consider that you're going to have a burned out Shyvana with On the Hunt from Sivir. You can't really escape from that. Especially when you look at the side right now from Cloud9. If the Solar Flare misses from Leona, Shyvana is going to be pretty much unleashing the entire fight, and there's nothing he's going to be able to do.
Something to note is we've kind of left out this so far. Bottom lane is heavily going in favor of Lucian and Leona. Take into account not only are they 25 CS up, there's also 402 gold shared by that Targon's Brace right now. So there's a considerable lead in that bottom lane for Cloud9. Can they convert that, though, into extra map control and extra tower and objective control? Because they're looking to do that here, and doesn't it look like CPLAY are quite in position to defend this tower?
Yeah, they're still chunking this tower down. It has just over 200 hit points remaining, but as soon as Pantheon moved in, they were like, okay guys, we can't really afford to get caught by death sentence because then we will get killed. Shyvana is still pushing Renekton pretty heavily at top lane with that Blade of the Rune King.
I have to wonder, though, if you're Cloud9, of how you feel your scaling is in this game, because I mean, CPLAY have got 5 kills onto Pantheon, which is typically what we saw in the previous game. Having so many kills onto your jungler typically isn't the most amazing thing, but they've also got a kill onto each one of their carries and then their top laner. And Shyvana scales naturally better than Renekton does anyway, so I kind of wonder that unless they get Forbidden rolling a little bit here, how are they going to contend with the mid game?
Yeah, that is what LeBlanc needs to do, is assassinate somebody. And if LeBlanc is not doing that, then simply put, you're not doing your job. Febiven has the Athene's Unholy Grail, which is a pretty good start. I mean, that's typically what a lot of LeBlancs will go for if they don't rush the Deathfire Grasp, which is typically what happens when you get a pretty nice start of the game. So he's doing the right things, but the problem is that he's not finding the positions to assassinate people because CPLAY are not making mistakes. They're not walking off one by one, and therefore they're not giving LeBlanc any free kills and free damage. So right now, CPLAY are actually playing this game very, very well.
They are, and one thing though that Cloud9 have got in their favor is, as of yet, they've got most of the advantage with regards to map control and turrets, and that middle lane turret is so low that pretty much a slight breeze would push it over, and that'll extend their gold lead. Godbro, Flash comes forward from multiple members of Cloud9. They expend a lot for that, actually get the cancel onto the Grand Skyfall there from Pantheon. Nobody's going to be able to defend this tower. They have to let that one go, and that likely means they have to let go of Dragon as well.
Yep, that's going to be 2 quick fire objectives, and again, the curse of the commentator comes through. I'm like, no one's getting picked off, and then, well, surprise, surprise, Godbro gets obliterated in mid. But again, one of the good points is that Ku got the kill. So very similar to game number 1, he is picking up a lot of kills, as Pantheon's actually going top lane.
Odo Amna very low here. There's the final tower dive out from CPLAY, but the response here is going to be a full rotation from Cloud9 Eclipse, and instant recalls coming out from CPLAY as they head back to their base. Will they get caught? Ooh. Oh, Cabochard's dead.
He expended a flash though.
Oh, and so Viven is getting dropped pretty low, but yeah, expended the flash.
Yeah, that was Q desperately trying to make sure the recall didn't come in as he missed his Q. So again, it is going to be a death for 25 seconds, but a summoner was used in the process, and that is not going to allow Ku to insect the likes of Sivir back towards his own team, which is a bit of a relief for CPLAY.
It is indeed, but Cloud9 have themselves the lead here. They've taken control of the tower game and the dragon, but that middle tower for Cloud9 is pretty low themselves. Let's take a quick look at top lane. Yeah, under a third of the health, and bottom lane is still pretty healthy, but Hyanan down in the bottom lane is not looking pretty healthy as Godbro actually gets this one engaged back on him. Ooh, the culling. Those last 2 minions in lane just doing wonders there for Godbro's health. Middle lane tower has fallen. Hook lands onto Ku. Could this be a kill here? Dragon's Rage onto Wikichi will stop that engage.
And that is the one of the issues with building Lee Sin super aggressive early game, is you get chunked. That was pretty much all Sivir with just a Bloodthirster, and went through Lee Sin like a hot knife through butter. So again, alarm bells will be beginning to ring. Yes, he has a Giant's Belt, will more than likely go Warden's Mail next. Here comes Pantheon again though, to bot lane.
Yeah, Pantheon with that Grand Skyfall in the bottom lane, looking for that kill onto Hyanan. Will take him pretty low here. Dissonance is going to give him the speed boost, but this is Wikichi going incredibly aggressive and actually coming up trumps. If it hadn't have been for Biven there, quite in time, Ku would have dropped there as well, you have to think.
Important though that I said about 3 or 4 minutes ago that Febiven's LeBlanc needed to start getting kills, needed to start getting the ball rolling. Since then has picked up 2 kills and is on a killing spree. So that is extremely important. Febiven now has a needlessly large rod and 700 gold in his back pocket, so that is very good news for Cloud9.
Yeah, that was way more than necessary if Cloud9 really wanted to have any hopes in this one. But now they have that LeBlanc with 3 kills. How are they going to use that? They need to start rotating really well and getting picks.
Exactly. And this is where LeBlanc really excels, in this roaming kind of phase of the game where a very mobile champion can suddenly appear at top, which is actually where he's starting to move towards right now. So there's more than likely going to be some action kicking off at top lane. Cabochard, though, he's very good at reading the situation. This is the 2nd or 3rd time that he's anticipated a LeBlanc actually moving up to top and started to back on away.
And I must admit, I've not seen too much of Cabochard's play, but he does seem like a fairly intelligent player when it comes to engaging or backing off. But this time, I don't think he's quite read the situation all that well as we're singing his praises as he's starting to trade with Odoamne. But Ku, actually, nice kick in the Dragon's Descent animation is going to keep Cabochard in place. He's going to drop from that. But how will the rest of CPLAY counter-engage? Really nice solar flare out by Leona, but met with a lot of damage from Orianna as they turn this one back around onto Odoamne. But Hyanan in from the side has so much damage here as Cloud9 Eclipse are just cleaning this one up 3 for 1.
Yeah, a couple of important things there. Dragon's Rage mid-flight onto Dragon's Descent was beautiful from Ku, and then the Shockwave came in and looked pretty good. In fact, Death Sentences landed. They're going to go back in again.
They are the box used as well. That's going to allow Cosmic to pick up the first kill. Barrier out, dodges the Ardent Blaze. That's going to be a kill there for Cosmic.
So the initial start was pretty good from CPLAY when they landed the Shockwave, but the important thing is that Hyanan was around the bottom bush, completely untouched, and he just cleaned up. So you've got an AD carry on full hit points coming in when everyone else is low, and he does exactly what AD carries are supposed to, and that's pick up kills.
And pick up kills he didn't do there, because Hyanan at 0, 1, and 4, so picked up a lot of assists.
Well, I take it back then.
I to be honest, I was segueing into talking about how many kills he had, because I kind of just figured he got kills just as you did, and I was like, oh, okay. Fine, that's a thing.
I guess what I should have said is he did the damage, and other people picked up the kills, but still,
dear.
He was completely untouched in that fight, which was quite worrying, actually, if you're from CPLAY, because typically you want to focus the AD carry.
It's okay, no, it's late, don't worry. Godbro is getting caught out. It's a bit late for him as well, because even though there was a solar flare, that's time for him to hit those haystacks as he will be sent into the death chamber. It's another re-engage here as Ku gets dropped very low, manages to safeguard out over the wall. Wikichi gets dropped here by Forbiven, and now the chase is on for Cabochard. He's going to get dropped, but can he take Forbiven with him? No, he can't. Not able to get in range for the Dark Passage either. That again is another great trade for Cloud9.
Yeah, CPLAY is starting to play a bit sloppy, and this is very reminiscent from earlier on. I just hope they can steady the ship here, because the last few minutes have been pretty brutal against them. And again, it's going to be objectives, because Dragon is up in 10 seconds, and that's going to be Shyvana dead for another 17 seconds, their jungler's dead for another 5, so this should be another free objective for them.
Should be. We'll see. I don't think there's anybody around to really contest that, and Grand Skyfall, as you said, on cooldown, not even in range for it. So that's a Dragon going over to Cloud9 Eclipse. How will they look to close this one out, though? Because that's something that Cloud9 are typically very good for, but to be honest, the last couple of days have looked inconsistent when it comes to closing games.
I think a lot of that is based on how Ku's playing and his mentality, because he's clearly very influential in shot calling. So if he's having a bit of an off day, I think that kind of shines through on Cloud9. And it shines through their objective control, because normally that's a jungler's job, you know. Securing dragons, ganking, taking towers is typically where junglers really excel and where their voice is heard the loudest. So I think that's probably a straight-on knock-on from just Ku. He's not played the best that we've ever seen. Still not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems like he's been slightly off.
And it's interesting because he spent time away from the team, and they brought in a couple of different replacements for him. They were looking to go for LCS, of course, with Ku being pretty young. I think he's only 16, as they do lock down Cabochard here in the top lane. Gets the shield, but it's instantly eaten through. Here comes the Grand Skyfall, though, out of Pantheon. How much can they get done before Pantheon rears his head and starts picking up kills? Looks like they're going to get away with this one, but I feel like Ku had a period of time where he came back to the team and was doing very well, but is kind of back to this whole inconsistent form.
Which is something I think that a lot of Cloud9 suffer with. Bot lane Hyanan's actually going deep on Cosmic here.
Cosmic's going to get taken down. That's a pretty easy kill there for Hyanan. Oh, looks like
Wraiths.
Top jungle, Forbiven is going to pick up another kill for himself. This is action after action. I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping on top of everything. But those 3 kills in quick succession are going to result in a Baron attempt here out of Cloud9 Eclipse. They don't have Lucian with them, so it's not quite as fast as they'd like. But Lucian's over stealing the jungle away from CPLAY.
But this is exactly what I was talking about before, that CPLAY seem to have tilted. I'm not too sure what's going on with them, but the last 5 or so minutes have been mistake after mistake, just being caught out of position, and C9 have jumped on top of that, and they've made the most of it, so fair play to them, props to them. But suddenly out of nowhere, an 8,000 gold advantage comes in for C9. They've got Baron, they got the last dragon, and they're starting to get big amounts of gold, big amounts of kills on the right players. 2,000 on Lucian, 1.2 thousand on LeBlanc, who's now went to 6-1. It seems like a few moments ago when he was 1-1. So it's just everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong for CPLAY.
Yeah, and CPLAY have kind of just crumbled. They looked really convincing in Game 1 as well, when you take into consideration that really coming into this, they perhaps weren't overly expected to do that. It's catching view of... don't know whether you guys saw Kianan, but Ardent Blaze just breezed past, but it doesn't matter because Ku is going to help Kianan pick up another kill there as they now focus down that bottom lane turret. Middle lane under pressure as well from Cloud9 Eclipse. Maybe looking for the engagement. They don't have the full contention here. They're going to go aggressive onto Shyvana as Cabochard is getting dropped to half health, but will output a lot of damage. Takes that dark passage all the way back to the team, and Ku now stuck out in front, but they do pick up their first tower.
And herein lies the issue with Pantheon, that if you fall behind, his usefulness pretty much goes out the window. It's very difficult to win from to actually capitalize when you're way behind as Pantheon. Shockwave comes in, lands on 3.
Not the biggest amount of damage, though. There's a solar flare, and the follow-up from Cloud9 is so much more damage than CPLAY have to offer at this point, and even Cosmic is now getting dropped behind the tower. Kianan is tanking it up, though, for now, and the barrier is going to keep Cosmic alive. Kianan picks up one, forced to barrier. Ooh, just survives by himself, but is kind of stuck in no man's land here. Needs to try and pull some minions in. Luckily, the minions joining the bottom wave, but over in the jungle area, Odo Amne picks up one more, as it's only Cosmic remaining for CPLAY.
Yeah, 1 for 4 trade, and that's going to be another inhibitor falling down, and that's just pretty much the power of being over 10,000 gold ahead with Baron. Not great positional play from Cloud9, I've got to say. Had very split focus. You had one player tower diving, another 2 chasing the support. But the fact that they're so far ahead, Stress, just means they can bully it through, and it doesn't really make it any difference at the end of the day.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be effective at this point in the game for Cloud9, and that's really what they're going to do here. And they have headed back to the base, some of them from the Death Chamber, but they got some big items on them now. Blade of the Ruin King finished onto Lucian, picks up a pickaxe as well. That's a lot of gold that he just invested into extra damage. And you look at Rabadon's Death Cap alongside Void Staff and an Athene's for LeBlanc. Anybody that she touches is going to blow up here, but Ku maybe going a bit too aggressive once again here. Dragon's Rage, wow, that's a lot of damage from Dragon's Rage.
It certainly was, and it pinged through 2 or 3 players. I assume that pickaxe is going to go towards the Last Whisper next for Lucian, especially considering that there's a bit of armor being built up now on the side of CPLAY. So once that Last Whisper's finished off, I mean, that is going to be absolutely terrifying time. But the game may actually be over before then, honestly, Stress. Well, I just saw Godbro Shockwave the Fountain, so that sure did just happen.
I wonder whether a vote has started in that case. But, I mean, CPLAY are 1-0 up in this series, so they can last out Cloud9, which would be a massive ask right now. It would be a big undertaking to try and hold on to this one, and typically that doesn't happen twice in a day, and we've already seen in OGN one team come back with spoilers, sorry guys, Samsung Ozone with a miraculous hold earlier today. That typically doesn't happen too often in League of Legends, so twice in a day would be somewhat crazy to see.
Talk about the long-range engages from Ku, though. That was Superman-esque with how far he flew. And they have to just deal with this last tower now, Stress. I mean, it's this or bust for them. They lose this tower and this in here, they lose the game. Forbidden
always darting forward with that distortion. Has to be careful he doesn't get caught out, but you can bait out quite a bit if you're able to move around and jump back to the original positioning here. But Cloud9 need to look to close this one out. This actually feels like we're about 10 minutes later into the game here, as we're only 30 minutes in. 2 inhibitors down. Hook doesn't quite land. Super Minions are about to hit those Nexus turrets again, and that's going to mean the push here from Cloud9. The culling is used to get the damage down, looking for the follow-up from Cabochard, but she gets dropped instantly. Shockwave lands onto Hyanan and gets tagged by that Boomerang Blade, but it's not enough damage to take him out. Ku is pretty low though, and Thresh will drop here as well. Ku drops in front of the Nexus turrets, but Cosmic was not really able to survive through that one, as Odo Amna will put him into the death chamber as well. That's a 5 for 2.
I just want to highlight how amazing Voidal's Leona play was there. He zoned 3 players at the back lines while Renekton completely crippled Shyvana in the front line, who was trying to jump on top of Lucian. They did end up killing Hyanan, but at the cost of all 5 players and the game. Voidal, that was pretty much textbook Leona play, just up in the grill of the opposition and keeping them locked down.
And that means we're headed to Game 3 here between Cloud9 Eclipse and CPLAY in this best-of-3 semi-finals for the Riot Turkey International Invitational, which means we'll be back in, I believe, about 10 to 15 minutes as the game time is due at the top of the hour. So we'll be back very shortly with game number 3 here of our semi-finals.